All right, so we looked at section 11.1 with solving systems of equations in two variables, and now we want to solve a system of equations that has three sentences and three different variables. So now we have an x, a y, and a z. So we're going to use either substitution or elimination to solve for each of the variables. I technically prefer if I have three variables in each of my sentences, I like to use elimination. And if I look at this, and it doesn't matter which variable I want to eliminate first. Okay, so usually I number these. Numbers 1, 2, and 3. These are just the sentences or the equations. And I like to get a plan before I start. So if I look at, I'm going to eliminate z. And if I pair up the first and second equation, so I'm going to look at numbers 1 and 2, and I'm going to multiply the first equation by 2. And that would give me opposite coefficients of z that would cancel out. So multiply by 2, and that would eliminate z. So that's just my plan. Okay, then I have to use the third equation with either equation 1 or 2 and also eliminate z. All right, so we'll do that in a second. But if I multiply the top equation by 2, I'm going to have 2x plus 2y minus 2z is negative 2. And then the second equation, I'm going to write exactly the same. So I have 4x minus 3y plus 2z is 16. When I add these equations together, the z's cancel. I get 6x minus y equals 14. All right, so I've eliminated one of my variables. Now I need another sentence that involves equation 3 that also eliminates z. So if I multiply equation 1 by negative 3, that would give me a positive 3z and a negative 3z, and then they would cancel. Okay, I want them to have opposite signs. So for 1 and 3, I'm going to multiply by negative 3, and that's going to eliminate z. Okay, so on 1, I'm going to multiply by negative 3. So that gives me negative 3x minus 3y plus 3z. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. And then the third sentence, I'll write exactly the same. 2x minus 2y minus 3z is 5. So I will cancel my z's because they add up to 0. So this gives me negative x minus 5y equals 8. Now what I want to do is I want to use these two sentences and come up with another system. All right, so if I look at this, I have a 6x minus y is 14, and a negative x minus 5y is 8. If I multiply this sentence by 6, I have opposite coefficients for x. If I multiply this sentence by 5 and make that negative 5, I would have opposite coefficients for y. So I am going to multiply this sentence by 6. So if I rewrite both of those sentences, I have the first sentence stays the same. 6x minus y is 14. The second sentence becomes negative 6x minus 30y is 48. When I add these together, I have negative 31y equals 62. So y in this case is negative 2. And I'm just going to tell you, in the problems that you have to solve, you're not going to get crazy numbers. They should come out to nice, neat numbers. I'm not going to say you won't have a decimal, but most likely your decimal will be something simple, like a half or a third or a fourth. All right, but I don't think anything's going to be real crazy. So now I have a solution. I have a solution for y, and now I need to find x and z. So in this case, I'm going to take my y is negative 2, and I'm going to go back to this original sentence. And I'm going to plug in y, so I have negative x minus 5 times negative 2 equals 8. So this is negative x plus 10 is 8. Negative x is subtract 10, and I'll get negative 2, and x is 2. So now I have an x and a y, and I need to find z. So I'm going to go back to one of the original sentences, way up at the top, and it doesn't matter which one I choose. So it looks, let's try the first one. So x plus y minus z is negative 1. I know x is 2, plus y is negative 2, minus z is negative 1. Well, this is 0, so I have 0 minus z is negative z equals negative 1. And if I multiply both sides by negative 1, I have z is 1. All right, so I have a solution for x and y and z. Usually, we would write our answers as an ordered pair. This time, we're going to write our answers as an ordered triple. Okay, an ordered triple is just x, y, z in order. My x value is 2, my y value was negative 2, and my z value is 1. 2, negative 2, 1. All right, so some of these are long. They have lots of places where you can make an error. So keep track of how you're doing things. Work carefully. Have some kind of order to your work. And if something doesn't work out, go back and start over. All right. In example 8, again, we have a system of 3 equations, x, y, and z, to find the values of. Now notice here, the z's, if I paired up the first and the third equation, I don't even have to multiply by anything. I can just add them together and the z's eliminate. So I can do the first and third, and I can also do the second and third. They just add them together and the z's eliminate. So if I do the first and third, I'm going to have 2x plus y minus z is negative 2. X minus 4y plus z is 1. Now I'm writing these together, and yes, I can do this in my head, but when we do things in our head, we tend to make more mistakes. So I'm writing them out. If I add them together, the z's cancel. I have 3x minus 3y is negative 1. So there's one equation. Now if I go to numbers 2 and 3, and add them together, the z's again will cancel. This gives me 2x, and this would be minus 2y, and this would be negative 8. All right, so now I have these two equations, and now I have a system of equations with two variables. So now what I want to do is kind of try and figure out, I'm gonna line them up here. All right, so looking at the x's, 3 and 2 both go into 6. Negative 3 and negative 2 both go into 6. Here I'm going to have to multiply both of the sentences to get to have a common coefficient. So this first sentence, let's say I multiply this by 2, and that would give me 6x. The bottom, if I multiply by 3, would give me 6x, but because I want opposites, one of these needs to be negative. All right, so if I multiply each one of these sentences by these numbers that we chose here, I'm going to get opposites of x that will cancel. So this gives me 6x minus 6y equals negative 2. And this gives me minus 6x plus 6y equals positive 24. Now when I add these together, the x's cancel, and so do the y's. They're both opposites. So on this side I have 0, on this side I have 22. So in this case, because this is false, there is no solution. All right, so when you're doing the practice on these, make sure that you have an organized, systematic way of doing these. All right, good luck on that.